See this beautiful welcome to my channel. It's a beautiful Monday morning, but not so bright here in Moscow, so you already know. Here I show you real Moscow Unedited. Let's go. Here we go.
Поверните направо, а затем поверните налево.
So here even my GPS is in Russian. Kind of helps me listen to Russian as often as possible. So see here today is a different kind of Moscow. Not your usual shiny Moscow, you see. So I'm gonna try and use the secondary road here so I can try and beat the traffic. See here, somewhere in the middle of autumn. See if we can pass here safely. Starting right here in Obruchevsky district. Maybe you've noticed that sometimes my videos they end here or start here because I live in this district. No, strangely enough, very little traffic here now. This traffic light right here is quite notorious for taking longer than expected, but luckily today it's quite short than I would expect. On most weekends it's terrible. You can come and wait there for like 10 minutes and then we'll just cross the Livingstone. It's the road leading from Vnukovo airport to the Kremlin, and when a lot of foreign leaders come here to Moscow, they usually use this road, and what that means is quite often, a few times a month, the road is closed for an extended period of time. So there are times that you have to wait there for like maybe 30 minutes or 40 minutes waiting for someone to come and pass, or the president is going back to his residence because he also lives somewhere using Livingstone Prospect from the Kremlin. right now we are on Obruchevsky Street. And local time is around 11:20. But Moscow is in full autumn mode. Funny enough, in Moscow there's something they call, not in Moscow, in Russia, I would say, like autumn depression, where the weather is changing quickly and people start getting really sad because the winter here is, to be honest, it's quite a struggle. It takes so long. Start somewhere around early November. In some cases, even like in late October, we start having snow. Then up to maybe March, before you start seeing a glimpse of sun. And the weather here is really, it's kind of brutal. The winter, very limited sun, and I guess that kind of weighs down on your mood a lot. So passing by the famous Moscow MGIMO, where they train a lot of diplomats here in Russia. So this is the school right here on your left, and the building straight ahead is wide, somewhat wide, it's fairly new, is the school dormitory for students studying here in MGIMO. So today the visibility is, I think it's less than 3 kilometers. Seems like today it's going to be an interesting day. Or at least this trip. Strangely, there are fewer cars on the road than expected. I'm not entirely sure the reason. Oh, lots of people just decided to work from home today. So this place right here is kind of notorious for traffic. And again, maybe the roads are a bit faster today because there's less construction work. Here, there's always some kind of construction work going on. I guess when the weather is this terrible, maybe some of the cleaning or construction work is a little bit suspended. And then that eases up traffic. It's the same, the traffic is on the opposite side today. So you can just see a ton of cars standing in line, even though we still have some kind of maintenance work going on here. One amazing thing about this city is that the roads, they are really, really well maintained. Well, at least here in Moscow. I'm sure if you go a few kilometers away from Moscow, the situation will be different. That's normal. With time, of course, I'm going to drive and still bring you guys videos from other cities around Russia. always something on the road needing emergency services. But if you live in a city this big, these many cars, it's bound to happen. Lots of accidents on the road. I've used this road quite a few times, and to be honest, this is the first time I've had to drive past by with almost no traffic. This place is quite notorious. Trains, passes. One thing that you cannot argue with Moscow is the level of public infrastructure. It's one of the highest around the world. So the public transport is highly developed and efficient. One of my guilty pleasures, something that brings me just absolute joy, is when I beat the GPS. Every time when I punch in the address and it shows me maybe 40 minutes, then I get there in 35 minutes. It gives me just an enormous joy for some funny reasons. I just like to go a bit faster than the GPS is proposing. So we just passed Philly, Davidkova district, and we're entering somewhere on Kunteva. I've passed by around this road before. Let's see if I can beat this one. Okay. Yeah. Also, the rate of building new apartment complexes in Moscow is just incredible. You can see here, just straight ahead, lots. It's like a completely new district, lots of new houses, and then just over here, lots of old houses. Like every centimeter of space that is available, you're trying to build something. And then right here above, this one is a pedestrian crossing. straight ahead, and we're going to go through this new district. All the houses, it's a completely new district. All new houses. And the good news is, just about maybe 100 or 200 meters from this district is a brand new metro, the Tirijo. So this is the Tirijo district. See, like, level of development, the public infrastructure, which is incredible. Because we have buses, we have the subway connected to the district, then people, you can live comfortably. See here, everything is brand new. The roads quite new. So this is the other side of Moscow. Moscow in a different light, where even though the trees are golden, but the sky is far from golden. Even though lots of skyscrapers, but the skyline today is almost invisible. Okay. So this bridge right here, when you drive here at night, the lighting looks incredible. It's amazing. And it's a little bit modern than the ones you see not on the bridge. In terms of design also. See here, mix of new buildings with not so new. There are so few cars on the road today that I'll have to find out why. I know it's somewhere in the middle of the day, but the road is unusually free. Moving freer today. Still lots of taxis. One thing you will notice with the taxis here in Moscow is that I think maybe 90% of them, if not 99% of all the taxis in Moscow are Chinese-made cars. So after 2022, with all the sanctions, before 2022, the Chinese were struggling to sell cars in Russia because the general perception was that Chinese cars are just terrible. They were not adapted to the Russian winter. They could not survive, and they were having lots of problems. So the demand for them was just very low. But after the sanctions, because European and American cars, or even foreign cars in general, became very, very expensive compared to Chinese cars. That meant that a lot of people were forced to buy Chinese cars, and then they just dominated the market now. I think more than 50% of new cars sold in Russia now are Chinese cars. So they just completely dominate the market. But there is an interesting law that is coming in, for taxes. I think they say by 2028 or so, say 2026, 28, that all taxes in Russia will have to be Russian-made cars. Or at least Russian assembled, which is something that will be interesting to see. I guess for the Chinese, it will not be a huge problem. They can just maybe be some kind of assembly lines here in Russia, and the politics behind it will be soft. And China, I believe, is the best friend of Russia now. You see also this minivan right here. It's GAC, also a Chinese-made Chinese company. Too many cameras, I would say. And there was a time in Moscow, just maybe last year, where a speeding ticket, if you extend by 20 to 40 kilometers per hour, if you above the speed limit, you're paying somewhere around maybe $5 or $6 for get a ticket for $5 or $6. And then if you pay within a month of getting that ticket, you still have 50% off discount. So technically, for the most part, for overspeeding, you were paying somewhere around $3 for overspeeding. So a lot of people I do not really care much about it. I'll just say, oh, I have one ticket, then I'll just pay without even thinking. But then, last year, or this year, they kind of changed the rules of the game a little bit. First of all, they increased the price, and then they reduced the discount. So now, if you get a speeding ticket, you're going to probably pay somewhere from $7 or so. And that meant I'm a lot more careful now when I drive around to make sure I don't get any speeding ticket. So you see this beautiful, we are right here in Obruchevsky district. So thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one. You can see here Moscow is not all fancy. It's not always the Moscow city that you see on TV or the Red Square. It's more to Moscow than it's just regular Moscow where real people actually live and go to work. Park their cars outside like every other one. Can't afford an underground parking spot. Doesn't even exist. This underground parking spot wasn't a big thing in the past, but now with the high demand for space, people are kind of forced to